We now welcome West Virginia coach Dana Holgorsen. If you have a question, press star 1.
Our first question comes from Ed Owens of the Dominion Post.
Coach, last week you said that Paul handled the majority of the reps in practice, and that's one of the reasons you felt comfortable going with him, along with communication, obviously. But how are you going to handle those guys this week? Are you going to shake that up at all heading into Georgia State?
We'll shake that up a good bit. Felt good about it a week ago, just heading into a hostile environment where communication is awfully hard. And it was, give OU credit for that. But we will definitely shake things up on the offensive side of the ball when it pertains to our pass game. Not happy with where we're at when it comes to that. We need to be way more efficient than we have been. So the quarterback reps will change, and I would anticipate some starting lineup changes with the receivers as well.
All right, and we didn't get a chance to talk to you about it after the game, but have you been able to talk to Coach DeForest about the accusations coming out in Sports Illustrated, and is it something you have to discuss with the rest of the staff or the program?
Oliver Luck has commented on that, and I have no further comment. We're moving forward, and we're getting ready for Georgia State.
All right, thanks.
Again, to ask a question, press star 1. Our next question comes from David Ubben of Fox Sports Southwest.
Did sort of being in the game on Saturday make you feel a little bit encouraged about your team, or how did that? What did you kind of walk away feeling about your team?
David, have not been discouraged with our team. Don't know if anybody else has, but I haven't been discouraged with our team. I like where we're at on all three sides of the ball. I mean, obviously we're not anywhere near where we need to be. We obviously are young in the season. We're a relatively young football team. That's not an excuse to accept a loss. But with that said, we like where we're at on all three sides of the ball. We felt like we could be in that game. Our guys took the field. They were not intimidated. They were not scared. They played with a tremendous amount of effort. They competed hard. We were in the game, and unfortunately, we didn't finish with a win.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Our next question comes from John Raby of the Associated Press.
Coach, can you tell us about Doug Rick's status?
Doug's doing fine. Doug's doing fine, thankfully, and luckily he's responding. Everything's clear. His neck's been cleared. He's a little foggy still. He's got a very, very minor concussion. It was a scary situation. Obviously, he was knocked out cold. The running back kind of saw Carl coming and ducked, and Doug was right behind him. So Carl was ended up being the one that kind of knocked him silly. But thankfully and luckily, Doug's doing just fine.
Okay, so you think that's a day-to-day thing, or would he be out?
Yeah, it'll be day-to-day. He's questionable for this Saturday, but we'll monitor his progress all week.
Okay, and just on a completely different note, I'm just talking about from a Big 12 standpoint. Is it, with Geno gone and Landry Jones gone and Colin Fine gone, and the league seems to be a little murky this year as far as high throttle quarterbacks. Is that just something that gets cyclical in this league, or is it just too early to tell with the production of quarterbacks?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's there's unknowns right now. Obviously, I mean, you look at what we're going through. OU's going through it. TCU is going through it. There's a lot of schools that are going through it. That it's just the nature of graduating quarterbacks. And last year, I think, was a special year. Looking into the past on it, I mean, there's been other years with tremendous amount of quarterbacks. You got guys that have won Heisman trophies and been first-round draft picks, and I think that's what the Big 12 is all about. So there's probably plenty of pretty good quarterbacks in this league that are young and inexperienced that are going to grow into great players.
Thanks, Coach.
Our next question comes from Tim Griffin of the San Antonio Express News.
Hey, Dana, there's been some talk among some circles in the NCAA about a moderation in transfer rules. Maybe in the spirit of reform, they'd like to make it a little bit easier for athletes to move from one school to another. I know you've been successful in attracting some transfers into your program, sometimes on short notice. I'm curious what you think about that, maybe making things a little bit easier for allowing athletes to transfer.
I think it's a slippery slope, to be honest with you. I mean, that I've heard. I probably haven't heard as much as you have on it, to be honest with you. But I have heard some things about relaxing the transfer status with guys that are academically eligible, or if academically they're on par to graduate, or any of that. But even with that said, I mean, I do think it's a slippery slope, because there's going to be bad days with college students. I mean, things aren't always going to be a fantastic situation for guys currently, and the grass is always a little bit greener on the other side. So I don't think you want a revolving door. You want guys that obviously you want guys to be on your team that want to be at the university. But with that said, I mean, they gotta go through some hard times in order to grow as a person as well.
Have you noticed that maybe since the start of your coaching career that some athletes maybe are more interested in changing on a moment's notice when things go bad for them? That might even mirror a little bit of the culture today compared to earlier.
Oh, I haven't given it too much thought, to be honest with you. But yeah, it seems like guys, they want to jump ship, and not all guys and not at all places, but in today's society, I think that's probably a little bit more true than it has been in the past. And we want guys committed. Like here, we want guys committed to West Virginia. We want guys that want to be Mountaineers and want to go through the hard times in order to get where you want to be. That's kind of the part of the maturity process.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question comes from Doug Roberson of the Atlanta Journal.
Hey, Coach. I'm hoping you've had time to review film of Georgia State. Some of the fans have openly questioned the players' attitudes and work ethic in that game, and I was just wondering what you saw when you watched the film.
Well, I can't see what their attitudes are like. I mean, we're going to do our due diligence when it comes to identifying personnel and identifying specific schemes. Always earlier in the week. I mean, I'm looking at their depth chart and the notes that we have made on each and every one of their guys, but it's really more important about what their specific schemes are on all three sides of the ball, what their tendencies are on offense, what their tendencies are on defense and special teams as well, and then coming up with what we do to try to attack those specific things. So we're way more focused on what their schemes are. We're way more focused on what we have to do to be successful and get better on all three sides of the ball here at West Virginia.
Thank you, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question comes from Dave Hickman of the Charleston.
Dana, you talked both Saturday night and again this morning about an open competition in quarterback. Can you see, can you envision extending that open competition into Saturday, or is it your plan to try to settle on somebody this week and just go with him?
Boy, Dave, I would like to settle on somebody 2 weeks ago, which we settled on Paul because we felt like he gave us the best chance to win the opener and then travel to win the OU game. Told the other two guys at that point as well that they need to stay ready and they need to keep improving and they need to focus on the task at hand. So what I'm going to tell them today is the same thing. When you have an opportunity to get in there and rep, then you need to get in there and rep. I don't know what needs to happen. Obviously, it's success, but I don't know when it's going to happen to the point where I feel good about somebody. They take the bull by the horns. They lead the team to victories, and they look good doing it. So until that happens, I would assume that we're going to continue to play all three.
So you wouldn't mind going into Saturday with a completely open mind there and doing some experimenting?
I would rather not. It's like I said 2 weeks ago, I would rather not have done it, but the current situation that exists, then we're going to continue to have to practice, and until somebody probably takes the lead and leads the team to a victory and looks good doing it, then we're going to continue to probably have to rep all three.
Thanks.